So, you want to be able to use visual effects to achieve a live-action Yu-Gi-Oh shot? Don't worry, you came to the right place. I'll start by setting 2 cards face down. What's going on, guys, gals, non-binary pals? It's your boy, Wilberfloop Humberfloop III. The Q is silent, no relation, but you can call me Dylan. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Today we're going to be doing another Yu-Gi-Oh! VFX tutorial. Now, if you saw my last video, I showed some effects you can use for a normal summon. But for this video specifically, I'm going to be showing you how to set and activate cards, and what effects go into achieving that look. So as you can see, I've already got my footage in the comp. You can use any backing you want. It can be from the anime, it can be from real life. Me personally, I prefer the way the cards look in real life, so that's what I'm going to be using. Now, this video is going to be covering a lot of the same effects that I used during the monster effect. So if you want to skip ahead to stuff specific to this video, go ahead and skip ahead to this timestamp. And if you haven't seen the last video, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to get from point A to point B. So before we actually show the card being summoned, we're going to go ahead and apply some effects to give it more of a holographic look. So the first effect we're going to be adding is a curves effect. Now we're going to switch it to the blue channel and up the blue a tiny bit. And then we're also going to lower the red and green channel just slightly. This way it gives it more of a blue coloring. Next, we're going to be adding a noise effect. And the amount of noise we're going to be upping to 20%. This just gives it a little bit more grain, like a hologram. Now we're going to be adding the Venetian blinds effect. This is going to give it more of a TV screen holographic look. Now we're going to set the transition to 25%, the direction to 90, the width to 10, and the feathering to 5. And now you can see it has more of a TV screen, phone screen look to it. Keep in mind, nothing is the exact same when it comes to this, so you might have to change up the settings just a little bit in order to achieve the look that you want. Next, you're going to go ahead and create a new solid layer. And you're going to create a rectangular mask and feather it to around 100. Next, we're going to go ahead and press P to bring up the position tab. You want to make sure that your positions are separate. If they're not and it's just one position, go ahead and right click on that and click separate dimensions. You're going to go over to the Y position and hold down Alt and left click. Now in this little text box, you're going to go ahead and type the expression wiggle, open parenthesis, 0.5, comma, 2000, close parenthesis. And now as you can see, if you drag your cursor through the comp, the white bar goes up and down sporadically. Next, you're going to click on the solid layer and press Control D to duplicate it. You're going to go ahead and select the 2 layers, Control Shift C to pre-comp. You're going to name this comp Scan Lines. So now you're going to go to the card layer and duplicate it as well before moving it above the scan lines layer. You're going to take the scan lines layer and you're going to create an alpha matte so that the scan lines only appear on the actual card itself. And then you're going to switch the blending mode for the scan lines to overlay. Next, we're going to go up to layer and create a new adjustment layer. We're going to go ahead and add the turbulent displacement effect. Change the displacement to horizontal displacement, the amount to 100, the size to 11, and the complexity to 10. Now we're going to keyframe the evolution. And again, this depends on the length of your video. Now this sort of depends on the length of your clip. For me specifically, I'm going to move over to the ends, up the evolution to something like 25. Now what this does, it gives it sort of a glitchy look, like something's interrupting the broadcast. Now what this does, it sort of gives everything a glitchy look, like something is interrupting the projecting of the hologram. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create another rectangular mask. Press that P key in order to bring up the position. Again, make sure the positions are separate. We're going to alt-click the Y position and enter the expression wiggle, open parenthesis, 5, 5000. We're going to go ahead and click everything relating to the card and pre-comp that, and then we're going to name it glitch lines. This is so the glitching only affects the card and not the background. Okay, so now I'm just going to disable the card layer for a second, and we're going to go ahead and find where I actually set the card. I'll start by setting 2 cards face down. Okay, so right there is where I insert the card. We're going to go ahead and disable the audio and re-enable our card layer again. So we're going to go ahead and add a glow effect next. Go ahead and set the threshold, radius, and intensity keyframes. We're going to bring threshold down to 0, the radius up to 25, and the intensity to 5. We're also going to bring up the A and B midpoint to 100%. Now go ahead and press U to bring up all your keyframes. We're going to go ahead and move forward 5 frames. We're going to drop the radius down to 5. Next, we're going to go forward another 5 frames. We're going to bring the threshold up to 100, and then the radius and intensity down to 0. Now we're going to go back to the start of the layer, and we're going to go ahead and add a roughen edges effect. We're going to keyframe the border and the evolution. We're going to set the border to 300. Then we're going to move forward 10 frames, set the border to 0, and the evolution to 1. Let's see how that looks. I think I'm going to set the first border keyframe to 500 instead, actually. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. We're going to go back to the start of the clip and create a little mask at the bottom. We're going to press M to bring up the mask path settings and then activate a keyframe. Then we're going to move forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to adjust the mask to reveal the entire card. We're going to press F to bring up the feather settings and up the feather to 50. Now this is what the card will look like when it's summoned. Alright, and welcome back to anybody who decided to skip ahead to this point. We've successfully added the holographic effects seen in the previous video, as well as the card appearing out of thin air. Now the only thing left is to position and composite it into the shot. In order to do that, first we're going to go ahead and press A to bring up the anchor point settings. And we're going to go ahead and move the anchor point down to the bottom of the card so that it'll hinge at exactly the bottom. We're also going to go ahead and click this little button here to turn the layer into a 3D layer so that we can move and position it in 3D space. Now go ahead and take this time to move and position your card so that it appears where you want it to appear. As you can see, I've positioned my card where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my card layer, move the second layer over to where I set it. Then I'm just going to move it over a bit. So now we have two cards being set. The only thing left is to show them actually being activated. I'll now activate my two face downs, Eternal Soul and Red Eye Spirit. Okay, so now we're going to go over to where I finished saying the first card's name. We're going to go ahead and click R to bring up the orientation settings. We're going to enable the keyframe for that. Then we're going to move forward 5 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to set the X keyframe to 0. So as you can see, once I finish saying the name of the card, we now have the card flipping up as it activates. Now, of course, you may be wondering, there's no front for the card. The card is blank. It's still the back on both sides. Here's how we're going to fix that. We're going to go up to our project window, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate our glitch lines comp. We're going to rename that to Eternal Soul Front. We're going to duplicate that again, and we're going to rename that again to Red Eyes Spirit Front. Alright, so first we're going to open up the Eternal Soul Front. We're going to bring in our Eternal Soul layer. So for this, we're going to increase its dimensions so that it's the same size as the card back. And then we're just going to copy and paste all of the same effects from the card back layer to the Eternal Souls layer. And then just go ahead and delete the card back layers. So now we have the front of the card here. Then we're going to go back to where we have all of the cards being activated. We're going to bring in the Eternal Souls front layer. I'm going to turn that layer off for now. And then we're going to add the blend effect to the card back. Change the blend with layer to the Eternal Soul front layer. Then we're going to alt click blend with original. And then you're going to put in the following expression. To comp vec, open parenthesis, open bracket, 0, 0, 1, close bracket, close parenthesis, open bracket 2, close parenthesis, greater than 0, question mark, value, colon, 0. So now when it flips up, it'll reveal the front of the card. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. And then, of course, go ahead and activate the motion blur on the layer so that there's a bit of blur as it flips up. Now, of course, I have 2 cards being summoned at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing I did for the Eternal Soul with Red Eye Spirit. I'll start by setting 2 cards face down. I'll now activate my 2 face downs, Eternal Soul and Red Eye Spirit. Alright, that's it. Congratulations, you've made it. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell. It helps me out a lot. If you're interested in seeing the other video I did on how to summon a monster using VFX, go ahead and check that out. The link will be in the description below. And if you guys follow the tutorials, I'd love to see what videos you guys are able to create. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.